Good evening, everyone. So today is Sunday, the 24th of May, that we are all gathering this time to do this evening chanting, to show our respect and veneration to the Buddha for his kindness and compassion towards all the sentient beings. So today, this morning, Monday, or Mahakaruniko and Khemachita left, returned back to Vietnam. So their flight is Aberdeen, London, Doha and Hanoi. They were here for 10 days, and 10 days went so quickly, and it's very cold for them. Similarly, today, Jayadeva, the Apache, was ordained for 1 week and became a Suripanyo. So Sunday to Sunday, he wanted to be a monk, so stayed as a monk for 1 week, and today he left as well. So with this, gradually we are coming back to the normal. 1 week passed, slowly back to normal routines. And it was a successful event, I must say, with support from everyone. And it was a joyful day, and one of the meritorious deeds that we have done, which will remain with us for the rest of our life. And we will be remembering and rejoicing. So undoubtedly, we will be rejoicing it forever.
See, Prajan, is that like a birthday on that specific date? You know, like so there'll be like a remembrance on that specific every year.
We could do that. Anniversaries.
Like an anniversary, I get it, yeah.
Yeah, we can do. And this sort of activities, merit making, is like noble treasures that we are building up for ourselves. There are 7 noble treasures that the Buddha spoke about. Oftentimes we think that we have to accumulate the treasure or wealth, the material wealth, as much as possible to gain a good life and happy life. And oftentimes we will be chasing for the wealth, hoping that this is the greatest treasure. But at the end of the day, if we do not use it properly, then it just passed on to other people. Whereas the noble treasures, it's the precious inner qualities that we have within ourselves. The first one is called the faith, or the saddha. Saddha is one of the important treasure that we should have. The conviction through the Dhamma and including understanding the law of karma. During the time of the Buddha, there was Alavaka Yaksha, the carnival devil, during the time of the Buddha. And it happened that one day Buddha was sitting in meditation in early morning, as usual every day he did. On his vision, this carnival yaksha appears and realizes that this carnival demon can be tamed and he could be enlightened on that day. So the Buddha traveled all the way to see him. So this Alavaka Yaksha just had a lunch and went out for the sunbathe. And the Buddha went into his living room and sat in his throne. And there comes the servant to clean the table and around, having seen this Alavaka Yaksha, having seen this monk sitting on his master's throne, scared, and went to inform his master. So Alavaka Yaksha, with anger, comes and then told the Buddha, a monk, out, saying that bald-headed monk, how dare you sit in my throne, get out. So the Buddha said nothing. He simply said that if you say so, okay. And he left the throne and went out from the living room. As soon as he left the living room, and this yaksha said, "Stop, bald-headed monk, come back, come in. If you say so." Then Buddha again came in. When the Buddha came into the room, he had some form of a smile with a joy that this bald-headed monk is listening and I can play with him. So again he said that stop and get out. And the monk again, the Buddha again said that, okay, if you say so. And then he left. And as soon as he went out through the door, again he said, stop, come in, if you say so. And then Buddha just come in, said nothing. For third time, he did it. Coming in, going out, coming in, going out. And for the fourth time, when this yaksha, Alavaka Yaksha, told him to get out, then at that time, then the Buddha said that, I'm not going out now. Whatever you have to do, do. Then this Alavaka Yaksha said that, okay, I'm going to ask a question. If you answer and satisfies me, then I will spare your life. Otherwise, I will break your limbs, hands and legs, and torn your chest and take the heart out, like that. Then after he said so, then the Buddha said to the Alavaka Yaksha that I don't see any in this three worlds that could do or could kill me and separate my limbs and break my chest and take out my heart. Nevertheless, you can ask a question. Then the first question he asked was, what is the greatest wealth in the world? What is the greatest test in the world? And so on. There are many questions he asked, but these are the first two. So when he asked that, then the Buddha replied, saying that the greatest wealth is the saddha, or the faith. The greatest wealth is the faith. And the greatest test is the Dhamma, test of the Dhamma. So the reason I brought this story to illustrate that the greatest wealth, according to the Buddha in Buddhism, is the faith. And simply because when we have a faith, we can do anything. Without the faith, we want to be able to do anything. So the faith, as a result, is the important treasure that we should have. When we have a faith, then we feel secure and safe. And the faith here again is not a blind faith. There should be the faith that has a wisdom-led faith. So that's why, according to Buddha again in Kalama Sutta, he said that do not believe, do not merely believe. So do not believe what you see, what you hear, what you have. Investigate first. And after thorough investigations, then you have understood it, then that is the saddha, and that will lead to the freedom. And there's another discourse, Buddha also said that Bahumve Saranam Yanti Papatani Vananicham, which means there are countless people still having the faith in the mountains and trees and stones and rivers and so on. So the Buddha said that these are not the greatest saddha or the faith that one should have. It won't free ourselves from the suffering. So we want to be free from it, from the suffering, having the faith in these items or in these outside objects. So the Buddha said that we should have a faith in the Buddha, Dhamma and the Sangha. When we have faith in the Buddha, Dhamma and the Sangha, then it leads to the freedom from the suffering, because the Buddha, Dhamma and the Sangha teaches us to understand the suffering, the cause of the suffering, and the end of the suffering. And there is a way to end the suffering. So this is the saddha, that's an inner treasure that we should develop. With that saddha, then we are safe here and hereafter. And all the actions that we perform becomes accompanied by the great saddha, that is the right saddha. And because of that saddha, again, we have managed to establish the center and also successfully able to celebrate this consecration of the building. with such a huge crowd for the first time. Over 30 monks from different parts of the world, and over 300 people from different parts of the world too attended. So because of the sadhana, that we all came together and successfully managed to do that. So that's why this is a treasure that will remain with us. And we will be rejoicing it again and again. Every time when we remember, or every time when we heard about it or reflect on it, we will be rejoicing it. I will be for sure. This is a huge achievement for myself. And this is only possible because the faith and the confidence that I have on the Buddha, Dhamma and the Sangha. And the action and the results that I believe in. So it's a great treasure. So that's why the first of a noble treasure is the saddha that we should develop. And it should be a right saddha, a right faith, not the blind faith. And the second treasure is the sila, or the good conduct, with the restraining our physical action and verbal action. Basically, observation of at least of the 5 precepts: not to kill, not to steal, not to have sexual misconduct, and not to lie, and not taking intoxicants. Because this actually is like we have planted some crops and having the fence to protect it. If we don't protect it, those crops will be eaten by animal or the birds. Like I have visited Manobozu's house, and she plants a lot around, and then she keeps protecting them with using the nets and so on, like that. So that is the protection we required. So the Buddha, that's why I said that the precepts are there to protect us. And that's the treasure, that no one will steal it. It's within us. People may talk about you. People may gossip about you, of this, of that. But if your conscience is pure, your sila is unbroken, sila is intact, then you don't need to worry. Doesn't matter how much they talk about it, it doesn't affect us because our conscience is pure and clean. So the Buddha said, that's why I said that rather than looking at someone's precepts, pure or impure, look at our own purity, checking ourselves that my treasure is pure or not. So checking that is the important task that we have to fulfill. Once we have checked and we are sure that we are not wrong and we haven't done anything wrong, then you don't have to go and correcting other people. We don't have to go and saying that whatever you're saying, whatever you are thinking is not right. Because if someone has developed wrong understanding about you, then they will be trying to find the fault in you. Doesn't matter how hard you try to make clear. So rather than explaining to them, just make sure that your mind is clean and your mind is free, so you don't need to worry about it. So you are free So that's why it is the another treasure. The crops will grow, eventually it gives us a fruit, and enjoy that fruit. No one will be able to invade in our mind. And having the precepts further, it crystallize the gems within us, inside in our hearts and the minds. So that's called the moral shame, the hiri. We will not have that moral shame at all. We are guarding ourselves. So that's why we don't need to worry. We don't need to be ashamed of anything. And no one can make us ashamed because we haven't broken anything. So that's a hiri. And this hiri, once we have, then whether at front or at back, we will not be breaking it. That causes a shame to appear in us. We will be consciously aware that I am in this stage, I have this much education, I have this much this business, or I have this career, I have this family, I have this friends, I have these communities. And considering these, we will not be committing anything wrong deed that brings shame to ourselves and to the community or family or status and so on. And that's a treasure. That's called a noble treasure. And with having this moral shame, there is no moral shames at all, then we don't need to worry at all. Nevertheless, people always try to morally shame you in many different ways. And even despite of that, we have to keep ourselves, our mind still. When I was a novice monk in Nepal, at that time the Japanese monk was killed in Lumbini, where the Buddha was born. So this Japanese monk was Navatame, yeah. He was constructing the pagoda, peace pagoda in Lumbini, and then he was killed. And my teacher was involved to protect and protest and try to find the killers. So he went on campaigning. And I remember one night we were sitting together and he said that I am not afraid of anything, but we have to be very conscious that people will start creating stories to morally shame me, so be mindful. So that was, at that time I didn't understand what that means. But my teacher told us about it, so we were very protecting, always conscious about what's going to happen, and we were guarding whoever came to see him, or even stories that created. So that's the moral shame. And even within us here as well, even our time, people will try to create stories, and even close ones will share something that makes ourselves shame. And sometimes you will know, and other times we don't. But the gossips goes around and try to shame you, discredit you. You don't have to go and correct them. That's the bad karma that they are doing. We don't need to chase. We just maintain ourselves because we are clean. We don't have to worry at all. We just practice. We don't need to worry about that shame. Yeah? And then further that, The fourth one is called Ottappa, which is the moral dread or fear of a wrongdoing. Now, since we haven't done that wrongdoing, then we don't need to worry. We may, or we have maybe experienced in the past that when we do something wrong and that really makes us dreadful, feeling of a dread and a fear of a caught and so on. But now since we haven't done that, then we don't need to worry about that at all. It's just a free. It's like a bird is free. Like the Buddha said to the monks that monks, you should travel like the free birds. And that's freedom is there. So that's another noble treasure that the Buddha spoke about that we should develop. These treasures will be with us and it will be helping us for the rest of our life. Now, Buddha didn't stop there. We have to develop the qualities too. So when we talk about the development of the qualities, that we never stop learning. Never stop learning. It doesn't matter what is it. So never stop learning. And especially knowledge about the Dhamma. Never stop studying the Dhamma. Never think that you know the Dhamma. As long as we haven't attained enlightenment, we haven't understood the Dhamma yet. We still have to work. So never stop learning. And from my own experience, the more I read about the Dhamma, the more I hear about the Dhamma, I feel so deep and I feel so ignorant. So that's why the Buddha used the simile that the Dhamma is like the gem, precious gem under the ocean, deep ocean. Some will think, some will be able to swim only surface, and then thinking that the Dhamma is so deep I cannot find it, it's not my cup of tea, and maybe I don't have enough merit to understand the Dhamma, and they give up. It's like swimming only on the surface of the water, never ever dive into. And some will dive a little deeper and then say that, oh, it's too deep, I can't reach, I don't have the capability to reach there. Then they give up again. But there will be only a handful of people who will not give up and studying and practicing and dive into deep ocean until they found this precious gem. And this is called a diamond. And that's the diamond mind. We all have that diamond mind. But to find that, we have to keep learning, keep investigating, and keep analyzing, not only from the analytical mind, but through the practice. We analyze through the practice again and again. It's called investigative understanding. It's called a Dhamma Vicaya. Investigating again and again. So that is, again, the more we understood the Dhamma, that's the treasure. That's a great treasure that will help us to find the path to reborn in the good heavens, as well as it leads to the freedom, to attain the freedom, the Nibbana. And during the time of the Buddha, Venerable Ananda was the greatest learner. And Venerable Rahula was the exceptional learner. Venerable Rahula was the Buddha's own son, ordained very young, and was learning all the time. He was the foremost in learning. I remember 15 years ago when I attended the university here in Aberdeen. I had to write an article or an essay on the Buddhism in Australia. I went up to the library and I saw thousands of books, and I thought how ignorant I am. So that really inspired me to read more again. And when I look at the Buddha's own life history, the history says that before Buddha gave up the palace, he was kind of a doctorate in 18 subjects. So he was a doctorate in 18 subjects. Well versed, the Buddha, before he became the Buddha. So never stop learning. Never say that I have known this. Buddhism is also like that. The more you study, you will understand that more to learn. And that's again a philosophy. But the Buddha didn't stop at the philosophy. Not only acquiring the knowledge, but to practice. And that's the great treasure. And then from there, we also have to learn to give. We call it jhaga, or a generosity. Ability to share our possessions with others when or where appropriate. Otherwise, sometimes, or pretty much most of the time, someone who has got the great understanding, they develop the ego and conceit and unable to share. And this sharing is the basic fundamental part that we have to develop. Whatever possible, share it. Sharing is the foundation, ground to learn to detach, learn to free ourselves. So the jhaga or the dana is the very important factor here. This is a noble treasure. It will be with us as long as we haven't attained the enlightenment. This jhaga, the offering, the generosity or helping, or sharing, will help us to gain the material objects in wherever we're reborn. Whatever we give, next life is believed that we will get return. So the Buddha said in many discourses that sometimes people are poor because in previous lives they didn't do any danas, they didn't know any sharings. And sometimes even in this life, sometimes people are so rich, but they can't rejoice. And that's again simpler because in the previous life they did, but they didn't have the good community to learn about the sharing. It's a basic learning to share is a sort of treasure that comes with us life after life, and we will be happy in future lives. It's called making a punya. And then the last treasure is the panya, the wisdom. And this wisdom is obviously very important to free ourselves. And this wisdom is to understand the way things are and the things that we must leave and things that we should understood and realize. That's the panya, the wisdom. so-called the great wisdom. And with that, that means that we all have these 7 noble treasures with us. So the Buddha encouraged us, rather than a material accumulation of a material wealth, learn to develop and cultivate these 7 noble treasures, which will help us to be happy here and hereafter, and it will be the cause to find the real happiness, the attainment of Nibbana in the future, near future. So I offer this as a reflection for tonight, and encourage all of us to cultivate towards the accumulation of a noble treasure. It's called the Arya Sappa. So may we all have that and attain the liberation in their future. So with this, let's do the chanting.